Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host, and today I want to talk to you about a new development in the Middle East. This is about 24 hours old. Donald Trump is talking about how a historic agreement has been reached, and that Hamas has finally agreed to disarm. If this really happens, it will be a significant development in regional geopolitics, because for the last 20 years or more, one of the barriers to moving forward on the two-state solution was the very fact that Hamas was controlling Gaza, I think from 2007 onwards, and since the Palestinians were not united, the Israelis said we didn't have a partner for peace, and so we have seen a series of wars and oppression, including the current ongoing genocide in Gaza, even since the ceasefire that Donald Trump negotiated. Over 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israel. So the genocide is still ongoing at a lower pace and lower intensity, but nevertheless, systematic killing of Palestinians hasn't ended. Even with ceasefire, and the excuse is constantly, yes, it is Hamas, 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 Hamas. So when Israel kills a 3-year-old child, it is because Hamas is hiding behind a 3-year-old child with, I guess, God knows what, with rockets and missiles, and this little boy is acting as a shield in front of all those deadly weapons that Hamas has, which threaten the existence of Israel, or at least its Jewish identity. So anyway, now Donald Trump has announced that Hamas has agreed. Hamas has publicly acknowledged that they have agreed to, in principle, disarm. But what they are saying is that they have several conditions. The arms that they give up, small arms and heavy arms, whatever they have, including shutting down the tunnels, has to be controlled by the so-called technical government of the Palestinians that will be established. But they also want to see simultaneous and concomitant withdrawal of Israeli forces. I want to share this is the announcement that you're seeing made by Axios. I want to share with you a map of Gaza. And so this is the Gaza, and right now, if you see the yellow line is where Israel, anything outside the yellow line and inside Gaza is under Israeli control at the moment, and Palestinians have been herded further and further. So right now they are living in about 40 to 45% of the territory in Gaza. The rest is controlled by Israel. By some estimates, Israel now controls 60% of the Gaza land, and Palestinians have been pushed into a really tiny part, which is 40% of the territory. And so basically, Israel should have already moved back, but Israel is moving the yellow line itself on a daily basis to shrink the space that the population of Gaza enjoys. This is essentially for ethnic cleansing purposes. If there is no place to live, you will be pushed out. Either you go into the sea or go into Egypt, and that is what Israel is trying to do. It is using violence to trigger mass migration or ethnic cleansing. So the question now really is that once Hamas has agreed to withdraw or disarm, I think the Israeli army is supposed to return to the yellow line or push back the yellow line. And as Hamas gives up its weapons, the Israelis need to withdraw, and they are going to anyway keep a thin sliver of land all around Gaza as a buffer land. For those morally dead, intellectually dead politicians all over the world who treat Gaza as an independent country, and they say, oh, Gaza invaded. You can see that even the best case scenario that Donald Trump has negotiated, Israeli army will be completely using a buffer zone to completely surround Gaza and keep it as a prison at the moment. So until the two-state solution, which is just seems impossible to think about it today, Gaza will continue to remain a prison, and we'll see how their fortunes improve, because we have seen what's happening in West Bank. There's systematic violence by settlers. People are being killed. Even there, close to 1,000 people have been killed in West Bank, where there is no Hamas. And it had nothing to do with October 7th, but the fortunes of people either in West Bank or Gaza don't seem to be any different at all. So anyway, Hamas leader has said that we will disarm and we will keep let Israel move back. And if Israel does not withdraw, which it will not, then they will not disarm, which means this whole thing is just Trump bullshitting like thousands of other bullshit things he says in his various media conferences, like we have destroyed Iranian navy, we have obliterated Iranian capabilities, we have done this is the greatest country on earth, and this is the golden era, all that kind of nonsense. This is another nonsensical pronouncement that Donald Trump is really making. But what is also interesting is that Netanyahu, who was in Washington, did not say a word about this particular agreement with Hamas. So some Israeli officials have talked about basically signaling that they are not going to withdraw unless there is a genuine, and this is in quotation marks, genuine disarmament. So basically what they're going to do is, if let's say that Hamas gives up all its weapons and all Israel has to say is, no, they have not genuinely disarmed. I don't know what that means. Oh, they still have catapults. Oh, look at that Hamas leader, that 90-year-old man. He still has a walking stick. Now that threatens Israeli Jewish identity, and so we will not move back. So Israel is quite capable of doing things like that, to simply refuse to withdraw from the territory it has occupied, and then all American senators, all the way from Chris Coons to Ted Cruz, will stand around Netanyahu, pose for photographs, and then they will go around in the parliament and send more $1 billion from the U.S. Congress to Israel, rewarding it for whatever it is doing, whether it's you see it as genocide or ethnic cleansing. That has been going on. In fact, very recently, the U.S. Congress voted to merge with the Israeli army. They want the U.S. army to merge with the Israeli army because they're so thrilled that it has just committed a genocide. So they want to join and become one with it. But anyway, unfortunately, that is the kind of political leadership we have in the United States at the moment. So the only entity that can hold Israel accountable to its agreements is Donald Trump, and is Donald Trump capable of doing that? He did put pressure on Netanyahu, wanted to see Donald Trump before the elections. I guess he wants to improve his chances. There's an election going on in October in Israel. So Donald Trump apparently would not meet Netanyahu unless he withdrew from some of the key places that he had occupied in Lebanon. So after the IDF withdrew from those spots in Lebanon, and the Lebanese army is now trying to see if it can occupy their spaces and keep Hezbollah out of those territories, which essentially the Lebanese army is now going to act as a buffer between Hezbollah and Israel instead of IDF. So while that is happening, it is only then that Donald Trump agreed to meet with Netanyahu. This is some of the inside chatter that is going on in Washington, D.C. So if Donald Trump takes his leg off the pedal, this Gaza thing is not going to happen in his lifetime, and his hope that his son-in-law and his family will become trillionaires by building God knows what, apartment buildings and the Gaza Riviera and sell it to rich people. These days American foreign policy is a complex. It was always complex. Now so it was pushing American interests, pushing Israeli interests. Now it's pushing American interests, Israeli interests, and Trump family financial interests. All these three are now part of U.S. national security interests. So yes, wherever America is going, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, who has absolutely no official status, but he's the main negotiator these days for Donald Trump, is there trying to negotiate. They try to sabotage the World Cup. And luckily, I think the Europeans have pushed back enough. So the Soccer World Cup is now temporarily protected from the imperialistic economic policies of the Trump family. So yes, the greed and this hope that trillions of dollars will be made from the beaches of Gaza is probably one of the motivations behind Donald Trump trying to bring about peace in Gaza. But that's not going to happen unless Israel keeps its part of the deal. No ceasefire that has been negotiated has Israel ever kept its part of the deal. International law be damned. America is now going to destroy international law to protect Netanyahu. So even if you say, oh, these settlements are illegal, oh, those things are illegal, none of that really matters in many ways. So we'll have to see what happens really. There's this particular video I want you to see.
Gentlemen, we tried to get them to reform and listen to us. They wouldn't do it. They're very
in this video, Marco Rubio is talking very proudly about how he's going to destroy the International Criminal Court, because America believes so much in human rights, etc. So any court that will conduct human rights activities, try to hold governments accountable for human rights violations, he's determined to destroy that. So he's trying to make it as if it's in America's national interest, and Donald Trump makes it clear that we are doing this, guess what? To protect an internationally wanted war criminal, which is Netanyahu. So Trump makes it very clear that his administration is trying to destroy the International Criminal Court, which to a great extent has been destroyed. And if you are watching those videos that are leaking about Lindsey Graham, you can see that they were already plotting to go after the main prosecutor of ICC by using sexual misconduct there, essentially to protect Netanyahu and delegitimize the International Criminal Court. So listen to this.
We tried to get them to reform and listen to us. They wouldn't do it. They're very arrogant. We tried to get them to reform and listen to us. They wouldn't do it. They're very arrogant. We've now begun an effort to really try to bring that court to heel.
By the way, there's no information that they're after me. It could happen. But just so you know, just she's talking about it, that means that maybe he's not trying to defend me. He is trying to defend Bibi and various other people.
See, that's the point. This is something that Rubio is not going to say, that because he's a much more loyal servant of Netanyahu than Donald Trump is. So you saw that video of him at Lindsey Graham's funeral ordering these two jokers, Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. You saw that video in which Netanyahu is talking to them as if they are his servants. Yes, this is what it is. This is American foreign policy. If America does not hold Israel accountable, it will not fulfill any of the promises or agreements that America makes or Israel makes. It tried to sabotage the memorandum of understanding with Iran by continuing to attack Lebanon, even though Donald Trump kept saying that they had agreed that violence will stop not only in the Gulf but also in Lebanon. And so I'm not very confident that Israel will adhere to any international law, any international agreement, or any ethical position. And Hamas, I really don't know what they are trying. I think they are betting on the fact that Israel will not fulfill its part, so they can continue to keep their weapons, and so there will be no progress. I'm completely disillusioned that this will continue to happen, and the world has become so immune to genocides that there are no consequences for Israel for killing close to 70,000 people, and 21,000 of them children. And there are Americans here voting for people, very thrilled, willing to send more money. I think morality and ethics and principles simply do not exist when it comes to Israel. America becomes an amoral entity. To the point of becoming immoral entity when it comes to defending Israel because of religious reasons, and they pretend to be secular. It's absolutely disgusting when I listen to all these roundabout arguments that, oh no, this is what our Bible says, we are following the Bible, we are like the Taliban. The Taliban have an interpretation of Islam that they try to implement, which destroys the fundamental rights of half their own population. And so we are following our religion, and our religion requires us to commit a genocide in Gaza, and so we are doing it. So this would at least show some honesty on the part of our politicians. But the good news is a lot of people in the Democratic Party have moved away from it, not the leadership, because we have morons like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries still in the leadership, who have taken literally millions of dollars from the Israeli lobby, and they have beholden to it. They have sold their soul for a few $1 million, and for their continued reason to stay in power. Look at the Michigan election, where the woman who's running for office is basically running for AIPAC, and she has got $30 to $50 million spent in her favor to make her win. So when she comes to Senate, do you think she's going to work for Michiganders? Do you think she's going to work for America? No, she's going to work for AIPAC, because they're spending close to $50 million to ensure that she wins the election to the U.S. Senate from Michigan. So I think that this whole thing, it is a good news if it follows through. If Hamas disarms, it is good. Hamas's weapons, Hamas's violence have achieved nothing for the Palestinians except getting them murdered in the thousands. So a weaponless Hamas is probably better off for the Palestinians than Hamas. It doesn't govern well. It does nothing well. So yes, disarmament of Hamas will be good for the Palestinians, I think. The other thing is, will they disarm? I'm not sure. If Israel troops do not withdraw, and if Donald Trump doesn't pressure them to withdraw, then they will not. And then Hamas will also not disarm. But let's bet that the greed of the Trump family is so profound that they will pressure Israel to withdraw so that later on they can exploit the natural resources of Gaza. Anyway, that's all I wanted to share with you. Thank you for watching the channel. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share it with your socio-political network. Until next time, I'm your host, Muqtada Khan. Take care.